was certainly sorry to hear that. So my heart goes out to his family. As we speak right now, I literally just left Brad, so we're still in the middle of all this whole process. So I know this will be frustrating for all of you, but I mean, I really don't have anything new to add that I didn't say last night. So, but I'll open up and answer what I can answer. No. Nope.
I know we asked you a little bit last week about the kick return battle, and you said it's gone with at that point. Still no kick returns in the preseason. He was often your fourth guy off the bench. Is it just something where you're confident in what he can do, and I don't know, safe is the right word, but why was he gifted so few opportunities through the preseason?
I think we have a real good feel of what Godwin can do because we got a full season of it last year, and so we have a real good grasp of that. And so then it was let's give Alexander an opportunity, let's give Craig an opportunity, let's give Jackson an opportunity last night, and so that's kind of what it was. Let's see, can somebody else do this, and where can they go with it as well? It gives us flexibility with the roster.
Did you feel like anybody from the slew of guys that you did try out at kickoffs, anybody really stood out? Maybe Alexander for those two in week 2?
Well, look, I thought Jackson and Craig yesterday both had good returns. Now, there was a couple of penalties that make them look real good, but I think both of those guys showed that they have the ability to get what's there, and so that's a starting point.
A couple times this summer. Didn't have a whole lot of opportunities, but seemed to play well, I guess, in some of the opportunities he did. And you covered that onside yesterday. Just how do you sort of feel about him coming out of camp versus maybe when you're taking a flyer on a 7th round pick? What's your thoughts you might have?
Yeah, I mean we like Lucas, just what he's been able to do. He's a pretty smart kid, and he's got a lot of energy, a lot of passion. But it's he's one of these guys we're talking about right now. What do we do? But I would say that there's nothing that's been disappointing by what he's done to this point.
That was the culture you really wanted to establish again this year. Now that when you have time to reflect on camp, reflect on preseason, did you accomplish everything you wanted to as far as in the DNA of this team, getting them ready to go into the regular season? Do you feel like you did everything you need to do, or is there any more work you wish you could have did, or how would you assess, overall training camp in the preseason?
No, I would say to this point, what the vision at which I had to prepare us physically and mentally, I feel like is right on par right now, and I think we got what we needed to get. Now going a week out from Philly, I think we'll physically be ready for this game, and I think mentally we've been through a ton of situations that'll have us prepared, and fortunately we still have a week here before we even do the true prep for those guys. So we get a couple of practices in, and then next week we'll really grind out the game plan for them. But I like where we're at, and I think everything that we've preached, we've tried to do, and I think those guys have done it. So I think we're as ready as we're going to be physically.
You talked a little bit about quarterback yesterday. You didn't want to say a whole lot. Can you just share maybe what you're wrestling with at that position, and what are the discussions, I guess, that you guys are having upstairs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what anybody would think for the position. Is it somebody we know can come in and, if something happens, that they can steer the ship and they can sustain and win some games. If you lose your starter for 2 or 3 games, can they win those games for you is what you got to decide. So that's what we're wrestling with.
And how do you balance the known commodity, what you have here, versus the unknown of what could be out there, and not having worked with a guy?
I think the best way to answer it is whoever is out there, you got to know it's a clear upgrade from what's already in this building would be the best way to say it, And because if it's not, then why would you do it?
Yeah, staying with the preseason and training camp theme, just where did you feel you got better, or where did you feel you grew as a coach and as a team this preseason compared to last preseason? Obviously, you had the shared joint practice this year and stuff, but little wrinkles. Like, where did you feel you moved ahead or moved forward?
Yeah, I really feel like the game situation, the end of half, end of game is where I feel like we've really improved. I feel like I've improved, but I feel like us as a team, because we've from the time we hit spring till even through training camp, I mean, we got so much of that type of work, and just the fact that we were talking about last week, but we have these situations that we work on, and it's the intent of the drill, but that situation leads into another in the midst of the drill, and those are now spontaneous, and those are highly beneficial, because now you're put on the spot and you got to think fast, and what do we do? What do the coordinators do? How does the quarterback handle it, the defense? And so that's kind of the beauty of it. You're working the situation, you know what the situation is, and all of a sudden you're put in a whole different, just a whole different deal there. And I think that's been really good for us. And I feel like we've really excelled there through camp. Now you got to prove it in the games. You got to do it when the heat's on. But I do think that's where we've really, I think we've come forward a little bit.
Maybe a broad hypothetical, but are there position groups that you're focused on, particularly as the waiver wires kind of open with other teams, that you feel like after this camp that there's areas where you really need to upgrade this roster?
Honestly, I would say everything's available. We're looking anywhere we feel like we can upgrade. Since we're 2 on the claim list, we're looking. Brad, we were just discussing it up there. It's, I mean, we're looking anywhere. I mean, we're looking at halfback, we're looking at tight end, we're looking at O-line, we're looking at D-line, where anything is available. And if we feel like it truly will upgrade us, and it's somebody that we feel like would fit our culture and what we're about, then we're open to anything.
Flip side of that is, you guys do have a stronger roster now, and a lot of times people will look at players that are claimed as sort of a sign of that. I'm sure there's guys that, as you're sort of debating this, that you want to maybe get back on practice squad. How worried are you that, you may lose some of these guys too, just given the strength of your roster this year?
Yeah, you are. I mean, because there are a number of these guys that we're going to have to move on from, that we would love to have back in this building, that they didn't quite make the 53, but, we've had a lot of time invested in them and with them, and we know what they're about, and we understand the growth, and there is a comfort level to some of those guys. You bring them back, if something does happen, then you feel like they're plug and play, and there's comfort in that, so you always want that, but you also want to know, man, is there some players that are out there that aren't in this building right now that you believe can come in and have a tremendous amount of upside, and maybe can develop into true starters at some point. So there's kind of a balancing act that you got to have,
Yeah, just along those lines, the difference in difficulty these conversations you're having with Brad this year as compared to last year.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult than even last year. It was tough last year, but this year it because we are so much farther along, and this is a credit to Brad, because our talent level is better and the competition is better. And, I'll just say it again, the better the competition, the better the players rise to that occasion, and so, you have a talented player, and if he's not getting challenged every day, he'll never grow. But now you give somebody that can challenge that player, they begin to grow together, and they get that much better. And that's kind of where we're at. We're just, I feel like, starting to get into that phase of it, whereas last year we weren't quite there. So it's credit to Brad, and these are difficult because ultimately we're going to probably have to let go of some players that were here all last year that we depended on, did everything we asked them to do, and produced for us last year. But that's a sign of progress too.
Last week you talked about weathering the storm with some of these injury situations you have. Have you guys kind of reached a point where you made a decision any of those guys might go on IR here in the next couple of days once you are able to establish that?
Yeah, I think there's you know, as I think some of these is you're trying to figure out, all right, who would be available for Philly, you know, and you get, well, there's a 44% chance of the guy being 50-50. It's hard to figure out, you know, on some of these guys. There's a window, you know, depending on some of these injuries, and so you know, I think everything's on the table, and I think, you know, we've got about 4 guys right now between Levi and Iffy and Aquara and, you know, that are, and CJ Moore, and so then it's, well, who has the best chance of being available? And then from there, maybe we have to make decisions on the other guys, and is this guy an IR candidate? Is it, and if you do, then who are we losing to do that? You know, you still got to put them on the roster, and then make the transfer. Well, you just lost somebody to do that still. So that's a hard juggling act, but those are things we're going through right now.
Any decision on Jerry Jacobs yet, and whether he'll open the season on the roster?
That's another one that we're talking about, you know, and that's a tough one, because if we don't PUP him, that's a spot, and we don't see him being ready for Philly. So that's another one up for debate.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Thank you.